Most people don't realize that they're self-sabotaging their finances with something as simple as their daily choices. It really is these small decisions and habits that have a positive or detrimental effect on your future. So you really need to be careful and aware of how you're handling your money. Hey, welcome back. I'm Iris. I talk about all things money and life tips, so subscribe to learn more. Trying to keep up with your friends. Attempting to keep up with your friends that may have more money than you just leads you to spending money that you don't have. When you focus on keeping up with other people, you are prioritizing social appearances over your financial wellness and long-term goals like savings, retirement, and investing. Instead of saving and investing any other income, you end up spending it on dining out, clothes, vacations, luxury goods, all to keep up with your friends. This will ultimately prevent you from creating and building wealth. Constantly comparing yourself to others is also really bad for your mental health and creates unrealistic expectations for yourself because you don't entirely know someone's entire financial picture. Like they could have generational wealth or just have access to better resources than you do. Prioritizing short-term social appearances has long-term consequences. Paying yourself last. Paying yourself last means that you are prioritizing everything else and then saving and investing last. So the way that average people usually handle their paycheck is as soon as they get it, they start spending it on things like rent, bills, social plans, and then what's ever left over, if there's anything left over, they save. The wealthy actually do the opposite, and they immediately save and invest before they do anything else with their money. They treat saving and investing like a bill. It is a non-negotiable. And you're probably thinking, well, that would be nice, but I'm living paycheck to paycheck. But actually, when you structure your finances this way, it forces you to make your money stretch. And this doesn't have to be a crazy amount of money that you're setting aside. You can start with just a small percentage, but you would be very surprised with how fast this little habit compounds. This very small habit will really have a huge impact on your finances. Not investing. A lot of people are scared and intimidated by investing, so they put it off, and next thing they know, years go down the road and they still haven't started investing. And you don't want to do this. You don't want to put off investing because especially if you're very young and you start, this is a great opportunity to create wealth simply because your money has more time to grow. Investing gives your money the opportunity to grow thanks to compound interest. And compound interest is simply the returns that you make on your money that will generate you even more returns. If you never invest, you are missing out on this great opportunity to create wealth and grow your money. And if all you did was never invest and leave your money in a savings account earning you nothing, you are actually losing money thanks to inflation. Inflation reduces the value of your money over time. You're losing purchasing power. So if you just leave all of your money in a savings account and never invest, guess what? You're actually losing money. Yes, investing can help you grow and create wealth, but investing also helps your money keep up with and even outpace inflation. Not shopping around. You should never just settle for the first offer, especially on a high ticket item. You should always be shopping around because if you do, you're often leaving money on the table or overpaying. Especially with high ticket items or commitments, you should always be shopping around for quotes before committing so that you can compare the prices and the services. And I have a personal story. My fiance was shopping around for car insurance recently, and he was about to settle for the first offer, but I recommended that he go around and search for quotes first. And he ended up finding better coverage for half the price than he was originally quoted for. So it is always worth it to spend a little bit of time shopping around before committing. In addition, developing this habit of not committing to the first offer also makes you a lot more intentional with your spending. Relying on a single source of income. Relying on one source of income like a salary job really limits your potential for growth, especially if your job is tied down to the amount of hours that you work. Especially if your salary is small or inconsistent, this can really limit your potential for growth and make your financial progress just slower. It's always a good idea to add supplemental streams of income like side hustles and investments to boost your earning potential and increase the pace of your financial progress. Relying on one source of income also puts you in a very vulnerable position because it can be disrupted at any moment due to layoffs, economic downturn, and other external factors that are out of your control. Without multiple streams of income, any loss of income can become very severe and really impact your finances. Lack of discipline. Listen to me very carefully. It does not matter how much you make, it matters how much you keep. You can still be a very high income earner, but if you have no discipline, you can still be living paycheck to paycheck. Just because you make a lot of money doesn't necessarily mean that you are good with money. Being good with money really just comes down to decision making and having discipline. Because listen, you can learn everything there is to learn about money. You can learn how to save it, how to invest it, how to make even more money. But if you never control your spending habits and your decision making, that means nothing. You need to have discipline to remain consistent in saving and investing every single month. You need discipline in your decision makings to hold yourself accountable for making impulse purchases. And my tip for slowly building discipline is just to force yourself to do little things that you don't want to do. Whether that's making your bed in the morning or going to the gym, you need to rewire your brain to follow the plan and not your mood. Neglecting financial education. Most of us weren't taught personal finance, especially in school if you live in America. I know I wasn't. So it's really up to you as the individual to self-educate. Not being financially literate is honestly detrimental because it leaves you unprepared to make decisions on money management. You're also just more likely to get scammed and finessed. But without having even like a baseline of financial literacy, you'll really struggle with basic skills like tracking your spending, budgeting, taxes, negotiation, saving, investing, and more. This also just leaves you in a position to be more high risk, especially when it comes to taking on debt, because you might not be aware of loan terms, interest rates, or even how credit cards work. It just increases your chances of getting stuck in the debt cycle. But if you're watching this, lucky for you, you can get financially literate for free in the comfort of your home. Thanks to internet access, a lot of this knowledge is no longer gatekept and we can access this completely for free. I got started learning about money on YouTube. I would just watch a bunch of YouTube videos and I also read books. And I will also leave somewhere here my top book recommendations for learning about money. And just a little tip, reading these books can be a little dry. I'll be the first one to say, reading about money is not fun. So just a little personal tip from me to you, I highly recommend using an audiobook instead. I find that listening to the material makes it a lot more digestible and easier to get through. And that's a tip coming from someone that likes personal finance. Sometimes I'll read a personal finance book and I'm like struggling to get through the pages. Not setting financial goals. When it comes to finances, you need to have clear goals. And this is because if you don't have a clear set out goal, then it's really easy to lose track and motivation. Setting specific and measurable goals gives you direction and keeps you on track, whether it's to save, invest, pay down debt, whatever your personal financial goal may be. Lifestyle inflation. This is a phenomenon where as you begin to make more money, you start to increase your spending. So this can look like getting a new raise or a promotion at work and immediately needing an upgrade on your car, a luxury apartment, or a new bag. When you begin to increase your spending as your income increases, this limits the amount of money that you are able to save and invest. Ideally, if you didn't come from wealth, any difference in income should be going to increasing your savings and your investments. Yes, it's normal to increase your spending as your income increases, but this becomes a very slippery slope for some people and it's something to watch out for. Not having an emergency fund. An emergency fund is easily one of the most important money milestones. Everyone, and I mean every single one of us, needs to have cash readily available, tucked away in a high-yield savings account for any emergency. An emergency fund is a non-negotiable, and if you don't know how much to keep in your emergency fund, experts suggest having 3 to 6 months of expenses tucked away in a high-yield savings account. Yes, having this money helps you in case of an emergency, but the main function of an emergency fund is to keep you out of debt and leave your investments untouched. Because a lot of people end up going into debt because an emergency happens and they don't have cash readily available on it, so they just put it on a credit card. And what good is having investments if you never give them the time to grow and you're always having to dig in there? An emergency fund is one of the first money milestones that you should aim to achieve, and you should always have one. And don't get discouraged if you partake in any of these habits because it's never too late to make a change, even if it's just a single small change. Small, consistent, compounding habits build up the momentum to lead you towards financial freedom. You can change your financial future at any given moment, like today. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button because it really supports my channel. And subscribe for more because I'll see you in the next one.